Hello, welcome back to the Show. We are two geeks who talk about everything. I am Aaron, and I'm joined, as always, by my cousin Landon.
Good day.
How's your week been, man?
Good. I traveled. I went to the town of Gatlinburg for a few days.
Gatlinburg, such a tourist trap.
It's really good.
Was it nice?
It was good. Yeah.
I mean, I know you're there for business, right? But
yeah.
Were you able to do any of the touristy kind of things? Did you get some?
If by touristy thing you mean, did I go to the local bar and have an old fashioned? Yes,
no.
I did. No.
That's something you can do at home.
I'm
asking,
like,
did you go to the Ripley's Believe It or Not museum
or Earthquake the Rad?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Did you go to the Christian gardens where like Jesus's face is inverted in a wall or something like? I don't know. There's some crazy stuff over there. Hillbilly Golf. That's a place.
No, I didn't, though it was tempting. I saw all these things around me, but no, but it was pretty. It was beautiful. I had a great drive, and from Charleston to Gatlinburg.
Oh wow, you drove all the way there, huh?
Yeah, I drove, and I listened to
drive.
The Stand on audio.
Did you listen to the whole thing?
No, because it's like 47 hours. So
I was gonna say that's a long drive.
About 5 hours each way, so that was pretty cool.
Gotcha.
Loved it.
Not bad.
Yeah. You?
Yeah. It was another week. Still waiting to get a root canal next week. So lots of pain in my mouth. It's been great. But the
sacrifices you'll make for this podcast.
What are we if we are unable to take ibuprofen and pretend like the pain's not there?
Well said.
Well said. All right. Before we get into the topic of this week's show, we do want to take a moment to talk about the recent passing of Kevin Conroy, who sadly passed away at the age of 66 after losing a battle against intestinal cancer. If you recognize his name, it's likely you're aware that Conroy has been the definitive voice of Batman since 1992 throughout several animated series, films, video games, all over the place. And recently he was even able to play Bruce Wayne in a live action role during the CW's Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover event, which was actually really cool to see him like actually play the role instead of just hearing his voice behind the scenes. Lots of tributes have been pouring out over the last few days. And one struck me, I'm paraphrasing, said, if you bake bread for a living for 30 years, you are a baker. If you work in retail for a living for 30 years, you are a salesperson. If you are the voice of Batman for 30 years, you are Batman.
Yeah. Well said. Well said, man. Well, obviously when Batman, the animated series came out, it was at a pretty pivotal time for both of us, in our upbringing, that 11, years old type of time period. And I remember coming home from school every day to watch that show and just, oh my gosh, that's a voice I know and feel and just could anywhere think of how that sounds. That is the sound of Batman to me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Anytime if I'm going back and reading old school Batman comics, if I find myself picking up a new Batman comic, the voice of Batman that I hear in my head is Kevin Conroy. There's no question about it. There have been other people who have, not just played Batman on the big screen, but who have done the voice of Batman in like other animated films, animated projects, but they don't even come close to what he did with the character. And it's amazing, like, just to think about the difference that he put into Batman and Bruce Wayne.
Oh my gosh.
Like playing up the duality of those, like they're different characters. And so like his real voice was Bruce Wayne's voice, but he came up with this deep, dark,
gruff,
just like troubled voice from deep down inside.
That's good. Look at you, man. That's good.
Like just hearing him say, I am the night, I am Batman. It's just amazing.
So good.
And well, not to get too far into the weeds here, but I did want to say Mark Hamill's version of the Joker is just as iconic, maybe almost as iconic as Kevin Conroy.
Yeah,
as
listener, you may
Batman.
not know that Mark Hamill or Luke Skywalker is actually the most well-known voice of the Joker from the same series.
Yeah.
So both Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy were back and forth, and just that's really an amazing partnership they had.
Well, I read something that he had said at one point, that they were close friends. They'd worked together on so many projects over the years. Hamill eventually got to the point where he's like, if he was offered another chance to voice the Joker, all he'd say is Kevin doing it? And then like he wouldn't even have to read the script, because if Conroy was on it, he was like, I'm in, let's do it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So yeah, sad to hear about Kevin Conroy's passing, but he will definitely be missed. He is a legend. And of course that voice will live on forever. I mean, if you haven't, look, the animated series Batman from the 90s still it
holds up. It's
holds
a good
up
show
to this day. Yeah. It's on HBO Max. Go check it out.
I'm totally watching.
Let's
hit it.
All right. Well, we've started out on kind of a sad note. Maybe that's fitting because as we discussed the latest entry in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, a lot of what is experienced is incredibly sad. So we are going to be talking about Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. That is the newest movie. It came out this weekend. We're going to avoid spoilers for a while, give some general thoughts, and then, we'll be sure to provide a decent spoiler warning for anyone who has yet to see the movie and want to avoid those plot details that we'll be discussing later on.
Yeah, first and foremost, I mean, just if you're on the fence or you're wondering whether it's worth it to go see it, the box office sure could motivate you, because it is definitely brought in more money for November than I don't know if that's ever been brought in before. I mean, it is a highly anticipated movie, and there are a lot of people going and seeing it. Before we even get into what we feel about it, I mean, it is extremely popular and extremely talked about.
I think the last figure I saw was it's already taken in 180 million, and that's just here at home.
Yeah.
That doesn't take into account what the rest of the world's doing. So it is already a success. Of course, I'm sure Disney won't consider it a success until it approaches $1 billion, but written and directed by Ryan Coogler, as was the previous entry. Some returning players, including Letitia Wright as Shuri, who is T'Challa's sister and Princess of Wakanda. Lupita Nyong'o as Nakia, who is a former Wakandan spy and T'Challa's past love interest. Danai Gurira as Okoye. She's the general of the Dora Milaje, the elite fighting force there in Wakanda. Winston Duke as M'Baku, the leader of Wakanda's mountain tribe. Angela Bassett as Ramonda, Wakanda's queen and mother of T'Challa and Shuri. And Martin Freeman comes back as CIA agent Everett Ross. And then this time they're also joined by Tenoch Huerta. I hope I'm saying his name right. As Namor, the Submariner. Dominique Thorne as Riri Williams, aka Ironheart, and Julia Louis-Dreyfus as Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, or Val, as her friends call her. I was surprised to see her, to be honest. I didn't know she was going to show up in this one.
Very surprised to see her role as well. I was like, oh, I didn't. You've gone up in the ranks,
and we will definitely get into that in the spoiler talk.
Yeah.
Rotten Tomatoes at this point has given the score of 84%, and IMDb has it currently at a 7.4 out of 10. Personally, on my flick chart, I have it ranked at 322 out of 2,523 movies that I've seen in my entire life. So that's not too bad. That's pretty up there. Landon, what's your take on this visit to Wakanda?
I know that I tend to be the enthusiast, and again, we talk about.
I mean, seriously, you're like Jimmy Fallon. Every movie's great. Oh, this is such a great movie. So good, so good.
I was really a movie that I walked into feeling like it was going to be about grief and how to cope with grief, and it really was. However, it wasn't a movie that I was sad the whole time with. Like, I didn't spend the entire movie, sad. I actually felt driven throughout the whole movie, to what was going to happen next, and to see how the characters were processing the different emotions and the things that were happening. Then one thing would lead to another, and so just it was extremely provocative, to wonder what would happen next, and I appreciated that. I also love the fact that this felt completely separate from Marvel, the Marvel universe. It's not, and I mean, it's still in that world, but it was its own thing, and it didn't have to have, other nuances. Of course, we have, characters who have been in and through. We have, this character who's going to be a part of whatever Avengers thing happens. But at the same time, it just really held its own without having to depend on the bedrock of the Marvel franchise. So I loved that. I loved, obviously, how it was honoring to Chadwick Boseman. Did I say that Boseman or Boston? How do I say it? Boseman?
Boseman.
And I thought that was great. But at the same time, it was, it didn't feel like it was trying to be. Like, it didn't feel like someone was using the sadness to try to make a buck. Right. I never felt that in the entire movie. I felt like it was truly honoring. Separate from that, the only other thing I'll say is how it handled the cultures of the different, of both Wakanda and what's it called? The city, the other
Talokan.
Yeah. So how it handled those cultures and those different ideas and coming to terms and all of that I thought that was really great. And so anyway, so overall, I'd give it a high score. I was really pleased with it. Loved it, and loved that I had a chance to take my wife and daughter to it.
How'd they did the boy not go?
No, he was staying with the grandparents. So he will see it. But no, we were and in the theater, everybody was influenced by this movie. Everybody was affected in a great way. So
did the rest of your family like it?
Loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Good.
All right, let's hear your side.
Okay. Well, get ready for me to dump on it. No, I'm just kidding. So overall, very, very good movie. I did not think it was as good as the original. We'll say that. Thought that Chadwick Boseman's absence leaves a hole, that I don't think they could possibly fill. It doesn't matter how they write the story. His influence on the MCU as at large, and just Black Panther as a franchise unto itself was so huge. And I'm sure a lot of us will forever wonder, what would this series of films have been like if he had not passed away at such an early age. But that said, I do think that Ryan Coogler did a fantastic job of paying tribute to Boseman's legacy, not only as the character T'Challa, but as an actor that we've lost in the real world as well. With the movie, there, I didn't really think there were many surprises. As I sat watching, maybe one or two small things that I can get into once we hit spoilers, but
got a few of those to ask you your thoughts.
Well, when it comes to the big story beats, I don't know. I can't say that I didn't see certain things coming. In a sense, I guess I'll say it felt a little predictable. I thought it was longer than it necessarily needed to be. 2 hours and 41 minutes feels like a long time. But that said, I love how they introduced and set up Namor as a major player for the MCU. I love that in the end, they leave us questioning, will he be a threat or a hero moving forward? I know, like, traditionally, he is considered an anti-hero. A lot, a lot like Black Adam.
Black Adam, yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what kind of role he plays moving into phase 5 and 6 of the MCU. I thought that Angela Bassett's portrayal of a heartbroken Queen Ramonda was
she's incredible.
That was a highlight of the movie for me. I think that she gave the best performance out of everyone on screen. I thought just amazing. I've already heard people talking about the possibility of her receiving an Academy Award nomination.
Absolutely receive an award for it. Yeah, absolutely.
At least a nomination. These awards these days, I'm real cynical about. I really think that studios buy and sell these awards, and it's not really based on merit. But just to get a nomination, I feel like is at least recognizing the talent that she brought to this role.
Can I ask you a question real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
I really like M'Baku, I really like his character in the first one, and we got a little bit of him in the first one, but we got a whole lot more of him in this one. Did you enjoy that as much as I did?
Yeah, I liked having him with a I guess a beefed up role. And again, that's one of those questions. If Chadwick Boseman hadn't passed away, would M'Baku have had a larger presence in the movie? Now, I think maybe he would have. It just would have been different. We would have seen it differently.
Not in an advising. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. He would have. I feel like he and T'Challa would have been more had more of a brotherhood or friendship going than obviously that in the first one. And because I think we saw a little bit of that relationship and how it had grown during Infinity War when Wakanda came together to fight Thanos' army.
Right.
Yeah, I gotta say this was a difficult movie, I think, for me to watch. More accurately, it will be a difficult movie for me to watch on repeat. And not because, I'm with you. I was not like overwhelmed with sadness watching the movie from start to finish. But it really is a heavy film, and it deals with grief in such a realistic way, I think, that's what makes it hard to watch. Because grief is such a heavy emotion, and I think they did a great job with it, showing how some of these different characters have dealt with the loss of Chadwick Boseman.
One of the things that I really appreciated about it was that in how it was dealing with grief, it wasn't like, this is how you're supposed to deal with grief. This is how you're supposed to this is like the carbon copy good way, that there's anger and there's resentment, and there's like, you just see this progression in a way that's not, fit in a good little box, and I appreciate that because it felt raw, it felt real. His sister in her technical, almost atheistic mind, and how she's dealing with this. Oh my gosh, it was just really, really great to see her paralleled against even her mother, and that's something else.
Yeah, like I said, I think they all did a great job of showing how this loss would affect each one of them. And yeah, you're right, the juxtaposition between Ramonda and Shuri, just with the loss of T'Challa was I mean, you could just see the different ways that they chose to either deal with it or not deal with it in some ways.
Yeah.
And then of course you've got Nakia, Lupita Nyong'o's character, and seeing how she dealt with things. And I don't want to say much more than that.
I know, because we got to
start getting the spoiler territory. Any other general thoughts before we actually get into that?
Just to echo the fact that I thought the guy who played Namor, Tenoch Huerta, is that right?
Tenoch Huerta.
Tenoch Huerta. Yeah. Anyway, he was great. I've never seen him before, or at least I don't recall if I have.
Mm.
But I thought he did a great job. His acting was awesome.
Apparently, he actually learned how to speak ancient Mayan.
Oh, really?
For
Wow.
the role. So that's impressive.
I'll say for anybody who's a Walking Dead fan out there, anytime you get a chance to see Denai Guerrera out there is awesome. I mean, she's Michonne, but she plays this character amazing. And she really shined in this movie as well. You saw her full-blown emotion, and you saw I mean, her being put in very challenging situations and how she was dealing with that. And so she's just an amazing actress.
Yeah.
Transcending. I mean, she's done theater, she's done she's done TV, she's done movies, now she's just an incredible actress.
The way she portrays the emotion, just the raw emotion of dealing with the situations that she finds herself in. I'm gonna say just in the first half of the movie, is incredible to watch. It's like a masterclass.
That's it. All right, now we got to get into it because it's hard to talk about this movie without spoilers.
I know. All right, so neither of us have signed a non-disclosure agreement, so we're gonna just go for it. And at this point, we are going to get into the spoilers. If you have not yet seen Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, I mean, what are you waiting for? It's opening weekend. I mean, why haven't you seen it yet? By the time you hear this, it'll be Wednesday following opening weekend. Hopefully you'll get a chance to see it soon. Then come back and listen to the rest of this. If not, if you're the kind of person who likes spoilers, listen on, because here we go. Spoilers on now. All right. So I already said that Val's appearance was kind of surprising to me. But I was also surprised by her connection to Agent Ross.
Married.
They're exes. They're divorced. They used to be married.
Yeah.
So that was crazy to me. And she's the director of the CIA.
How did that happen?
I don't know. Like I thought that she was like some random.
I thought she was like a person with money, like
I thought that she was
private firm,
not necessarily calling the shots, but she was like, working for somebody and putting together. I mean, clearly we know she's putting together a team that's going to consist of U.S. agent and Yelena Belova, Black Widow's sister, and like all this stuff is happening. And so we've been seeing her here and there kind of moving chess pieces around. But to find out that she's the director of the CIA,
I don't know which one is more like blowing my mind, that she's formerly married to, Ross, or that she's director of CIA. The CIA thing kind of makes me go, huh? And in a way that there were a couple of things like that for me that I went, I mean, I'll swallow the pill, but it feels a little weird.
Well, it all leaves me so curious about the different intelligence organizations that are in existence in the MCU. I mean, obviously you've got the CIA and the FBI from the real world, but you've also got SHIELD. Where are they at these days? You've got SWORD.
SHIELD dismantled, wasn't it?
Was it? I don't know. Like the last time I think we really saw SHIELD do anything big was that in Age of Ultron when they brought the new helicarrier up to help save people from Sokovia?
And I haven't finished Agents of SHIELD yet, so I don't know how that ended.
I only watched the first season of that. It lost me after that.
So, yeah, well, aside from all that, her role in this was really not a nefarious role.
No.
I mean, the only thing that she does say that's obviously sinister, but it really wasn't bad, was just when he was like, when talking about if the US could have all that power, she's like, I dream about that every night. You know what I mean? Of having the ability to have the
The vibranium.
The vibranium. But it was interesting too at the very beginning. It was cool to see Richard Schiff on screen. He played Toby in West Wing. And so he was the US whoever that was, and
Was he ambassador to the UN?
I think so.
Yeah, that whole thing was the deal with sharing vibranium with the world. I get it. I get Wakanda not sharing it because Wakanda has for centuries held on to this stuff and been isolationist, and there's not been a problem. But as soon as the world finds out that they've got this like an overabundance of vibranium, they're chomping at the bit to get it. Why? Because they want weapons. They want to make weapons out of this stuff. And that is if that's not, it's not the, excuse me, if that's not the American dream, what is? And that's what's scary. That is what is so scary. But like, because that's reality. That is the realistic.
Weird too that the French and the Americans were on the same page. It's like, when do we start agreeing?
Why is it? Why was it France that wanted it?
Why was it? Yeah,
you'd think you'd have like one of the Russians up there, but I guess you're avoiding.
Trying to avoid the Russian situation, I guess.
Why
no escalation?
Why not have somebody from what's Dr. Doom's country?
Oh, what is that?
All these fake countries. Latveria. Yeah. Why not have an ambassador from Latveria be like, you know what? We want some vibranium.
Yeah, it was interesting though. I loved the intro though, where they're trying to take the stuff. They just bring those soldiers in. Those ladies, they sure can kick some tail, man. I mean, they tear up. And I love their dynamic, the way that they have all that. Now, the first thing when we first see like these new creatures, and they doing this song, that's like the
siren song.
The siren song.
Yeah.
My daughter whispers over. She's like, "Sirens." And I was like, "Yeah, I know. It was them."
That was really cool. Just leading men to their deaths. That's it.
We found them, Odysseus. We found them.
Drowned to deaths.
Yeah.
What was I saying? Now I can't remember.
I'm sure it was very important.
Probably. Go ahead.
Well, but still, I mean, like just being introduced to all this. Of course, having the young scientist at MIT, the student, who's created this thing. I thought some of that was a bit unbelievable. It's not that I don't think it's amazing what people can do, and that MIT people could probably do amazing things. But just the idea of I built this thing in 2 months, and just the logistics of some of that stuff, I thought was a bit forced.
That's something
that's just me.
So we already know that Riri Williams, aka Ironheart, is getting her own series on Disney Plus. All right, that's already in the pipeline. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's not surprising that they wouldn't give a whole lot of her backstory at this point.
Yeah.
But it is disappointing that we didn't get a whole lot of her backstory at this point, because you've got this 2 hour and 41 minute long film. It's like, can we not throw a little more in here to explain who she is, why she's doing what she's doing, and why she basically built an Iron Man suit when she goes to battle with Wakanda. Not against Wakanda, but fighting on their side. It's just, what's her connection to Tony Stark? Is there a connection to Tony Stark? Other than they both went to MIT.
So, and I think that's probably what's just going to happen is we're going to get the series, we're going to see that, and then it'll make it all good. But for the purposes of this movie, it did make it was like, okay, the only other criticism that I had, and I really didn't have much other, but you got to help me with a scene. All right. When Namor takes the sister Shuri down to his place, his city. I can't get all these names down for what these places are.
Talokan.
Talokan. You gotta say it. Gotta say it the fancy way. Anyway, he takes her down there. Before he does, he says to her, he says, you know, if I took you down, you know, your bones would break and the pressure would kill you, you know, all that stuff. Oh, but I have a suit, right? So he puts her in the suit. She goes down in the suit and goes, it's like the movie Abyss with Ed Harris, right? You know, goes down all the way to the city. All right. She's down there, and then I'm confused because then she gets rescued, right? Because then what's the girl's name? That's Lupita Nyong'o.
Yeah.
She comes down and she's got the little machine, right, that she's flying. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, well, she won't get crushed by the pressure because I'm sure she goes inside of that thing and it'll seal up around her or whatever the case is. But then when she rescues the two girls and the three of them go up, they're dangling from the side of this thing. So help me. How is it a movie goof or am I missing something?
You're missing something.
What did I miss? Help me.
All right. So when he took her down to the depths of Talokan,
yeah,
she needed the machine. But where they were holding her and Riri, that was up closer to the surface.
Okay. So they weren't holding them in the city.
Yeah. Yeah. They were up in the flashback scene, you know, where we see Namor's mother out of like giving birth, and she's like halfway out of the water, but giving birth in the water.
Yeah.
That's where they're at. They're in that general area.
In the cave area.
Yeah.
Okay. They're not down in the city because the city's completely immersed in water.
Right. The city is down on the ocean floor where, yes, they would have been crushed to death by the pressure of so much ocean water. But yeah, when they're being held, they're in that cave that's closer to the surface.
Thank you for clarifying that for me.
Of course.
Because I did walk out and I was like, now how in the world that happened? And I should have known.
That didn't make any sense.
I should have known that Kevin Feige or whoever else, you know, and the rest of Feige would I know you're better at
every time.
I know, Feige. But I should have known that they had it well covered, you know. My bad.
So it was around that time, Shuri and Riri get taken. Okoye is released from her role as general. Oh. And that scene is like,
that's rough.
Rip your heart out and stomp on it, because I get Ramonda. She is obviously, I mean, she's still grieving the loss of T'Challa. Now, for all she knows, her daughter is dead too.
Yeah. Well, and when she brought up the part about being like, when, you know, Killmonger came, you stood by and didn't do anything. And I thought to myself, oh, I guess you probably didn't like that, I suppose.
Yeah.
I didn't think you were holding that against. I thought you were all good, but no, I could see how that would be, you know.
Yeah. So it was you seeing it from her perspective, and then knowing just how loyal Okoye is. It's like, oh man. It was, and that's the scene where I was talking about, like, it really is a masterclass of just how, like, both of them back and forth, the anger and the sorrow, and just it was heart-wrenching to that whole scene. I'm not saying I cried or anything, but
did you cry during this movie? I cried during the movie. There were a couple of tearful moments, not like full on sobbing, but I had the wetness on the eyes.
I teared up during the silent opening of the Marvel Studios logo. That was all Chadwick Boseman all the time.
That was me too. Yeah,
that was really good.
Quiet. Were you luckily in a theater where people were quiet? Because I was.
Oh, it was silent as the grave.
Me too. I was thankful for that.
Yeah, it was quite. I mean, I went and saw it Thursday afternoon after I got off work. So, you know, Thursday afternoon, it was a 4:00 showing. There's not many people there. So it was not a full theater, which I'm thankful for. that's the kind of thing you want to experience, an in-game type movie with a bunch of people. But for this, I'm okay seeing it with like a handful of random people who are like, oh, I've got to see it first.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow, it was. There were just a lot of powerful scenes. I didn't expect Killmonger to be there at her when she drank
No.
stuff. I was like, and it was so appropriate.
Yeah.
It was so. Now when I first saw him, I was thinking, oh, because he was the last one. Maybe that was it, because he was the last one to have but no, then Chicago came back, and I'm just trying to work it out. But then when he starts talking, I'm like, oh, you are the same. Oh, you
Yeah.
are the same.
Yeah. I
Oh,
love how he points out, no, you summoned me. Like
oh my
this is
God.
not me doing something to you. You called this. And because her, maybe Shuri's conscious mind was thinking, I want my mother's advice here on the ancestral plane, but what she was really feeling and what, like, deep down in her soul, like, this is the point where she is now finally allowing herself to grieve. And
Yeah.
now not just the death of T'Challa, but her mother as
Mother as
well.
well. Yeah.
And she has a target for, a reason why her mother died is because of Namor. And
Yeah.
so
Whereas
she
with
has
her
someone to
brothers,
direct that rage at.
right. Yeah.
And so of course, like, her grief process is going to be full of rage and anger and just hatred towards Namor. And so of course Killmonger is going to be the one that comes to advise her. And he's not going to tell her to stand down. He's going to tell her, point the spear, aim for your target, take it out. Because that's what
Yeah.
he would have done.
I was so, as that scene was going through, I was like, this is absolutely appropriate. And I'm glad that they didn't do anything else. And that's kind of what I meant at the beginning too, where it didn't give you like the carbon copy how you deal with grief. This was something that was raw,
Yeah.
and they could have done something where they had Angela Bassett come in there and give the motherly, find peace, and then she lets it go. Or they could have tried to CGI with permission Chadwick Boseman, and try to make something happen there. Which would have again been I think a cheap way
Yeah.
of remembering him.
I think that kind
Um,
of thing that would have been a mistake, I think,
that
to
would have been a
try to bring him
mistake.
in.
But to do it this way and to go full force into the raw, real feelings of what she was going through and have her work through that a different way was really smart and
Yeah.
made the movie. It made the movie in so many great ways. It was great.
Yeah. Her and a lot, and, like, shout out to Letitia Wright. I mean, just for being able to play that up. I mean, because that is such a realistic way of dealing with grief, and especially if you've been avoiding your feelings of grief for so long. I mean, this is someone who, she blamed herself for T'Challa's death, and then but there's nothing she could do about it. But
Right.
now she's got someone else she can blame for her mother's death. And so all that rage that she's holding against herself, she can now point towards somebody
Transfer to
else.
him. Yeah.
And so yeah, you've got that transference happening psychologically. And gosh, she did a great job with it. And then you get to the final battle and you're thinking, is she going to go through with it? You can't introduce a a character as prominent as Namor is in the comics, finally introduce him to the MCU, and then kill him off in his first outing. And so it's like, what's going to happen? What's going to switch with her?
Yeah.
And to where she's going to show him some kind of mercy.
At the same time, I have to say, when she when she hit the engines and burned him, I was like, oh, I mean, I thought he was going to die.
You
I
thought that
thought
was it?
so, but for her to see the parallels between the people, they did a great job. You know how sometimes foreshadowing can be a little too obvious, and it just, you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop that will fulfill the foreshadowing that happens in a movie. Well, this had the element of foreshadowing that I thought was really healthy, which is where when she was going down and she saw the people of the capital city, that she was able to go and see the different types of people and see people, the kids playing, and seeing that they were normal people and it was beautiful and all that. And it wasn't like in your face; it was just seeing it, in my opinion. And so when it happened later that she was drawing parallels, and they kept doing parallels between Wakanda and whatever the city's called.
Talokan.
Can't say it so fast. Slow it up.
Talokan.
Talokan. Thank you. All right. So Wakanda. Took me a long time to be able to get that one right. Wakanda, Talokan. All right. But it's showing the parallels between the both. I mean, that was a really well done scene, I thought.
So again, talking about her transition there, when she comes out, it's almost like she's ashamed that Killmonger is who she saw.
Yeah,
because she won't tell Nakia.
Yeah,
and but then she chooses the Black Panther helmet with the gold inlay, which is the same as his design.
Yeah,
and so I think that speaks a lot to, she embraces it. But again, it's I love that that in those final moments of her battle with Namor, she's able to then get that message from her mother, and she gets that, that same line that that she delivered to T'Challa, in the previous film: show him who you are. And so this is when, like, her true self reawakens, and she's not this vengeful person that Killmonger would have her be. Yeah. She is the daughter of Ramonda. She's the sister of T'Challa. She does have that nobility that will allow her to show mercy to her enemy, and they find a way to make peace.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean that she has to become the ruler either.
No.
One of the things that I really appreciated about the movie is they didn't make her into something she wasn't, and this is them choosing to not have her kind of roll into, all right, now you're the Black Panther, and now you're the queen, and now you're going to be in charge, and now everything's fine. Now you can rule because you have such good diplomatic skills. You know what I mean?
No, she's still got such a long journey ahead of her.
Exactly. So her choosing to, still remain as Black Panther, but leave and let that go so that she can go to Haiti and grow. I thought it was really smart. That was great. A great choice.
All right, that is leading us up to the mid-credit scene. But before we get there, I do want to say one more thing about Namor. He said himself, he's a mutant.
That is that. Oh, I'm glad you brought that up, because that definitely ties us into X-Men. We've got to have X-Men now.
So this is now. Oh gosh, how many mutants have they mentioned? Like confirmed mutants in the MCU. So we've got Miss Marvel, who is a mutant. We've had a version of Professor X from a different corner of the multiverse.
Yeah.
Now we've got Namor in She-Hulk. Now there's no it was just an Easter egg, but on one of those like things where you could see the website they're looking at, there was a headline for an article that said something about a man with metal claws getting into a bar fight.
Oh, did it really?
Yeah. So an obvious nod towards Wolverine being out there somewhere.
Right.
So it really will be interesting to see how, once they introduce mutants as a whole, are we saying that mutants have been here the whole time and they've just been in hiding?
Yeah.
Or, has something happened to bring mutants to the forefront? It'll be interesting. I kind of hope that Charles Xavier's School for Gifted Children has been there this whole time, and we just haven't known about it. They've been in hiding because he knows how persecuted they would be if the rest of humanity knew that mutants existed.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
It'll be
I'm with
interesting.
you. It was really cool to see that. And I have to say, I mean, having a guy with little wings on his feet would seem otherwise stupid, but they pulled it off pretty good. His movements and how fast he was and skipping around like he did made it cool.
Yeah,
Honestly, if
he moves
you
like a
said to
hummingbird.
me, yeah, if you said to me that the bad guy has he can breathe underwater and he has wings for feet. So I
Okay.
would just be like, that sounds stupid. But watching him and seeing how they did his movements and how they played that up, almost where he could skip, with the, I
Yeah.
was like, wow, like Icarus. It was awesome. It was just really like cool. I loved it.
Yeah. Yeah. He could control those feet. That's for sure.
I got convinced through the movie that it was cool. So to the mid-credit scene.
All right. This is the other part where I teared up.
Yeah.
Again,
Gosh,
we
the
go into
kid was so
silence.
cute too.
Oh, wait a second. We haven't gotten there yet.
Wait. Okay.
We get into the side. So we know that oh wait, was that the second kind of tribute to Chadwick Boseman? That wasn't the mid-credit scene. That was before the end, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay, my bad. That's where I teared up.
Yeah.
When she's burning her funeral attire, her funeral robes, and she is allowing herself to again grieve this loss, and we're presented with scenes
Memories
of
of him.
Chadwick Boseman from the
Oh my
previous
gosh.
film, and so that's where I teared up the second time. But then now, okay, yes, mid-credit scene, we are introduced to a kid we didn't know existed.
Well,
T'Challa has a son.
It sure did help explain why the girlfriend left.
Right? Yeah.
6
Why
years
did the kid?
earlier.
Yeah, because throughout the movie, like it seems like it's this big mystery, and it's like you don't want to think that it's selfish that when all of the like the blip happened or whatever, she moved to Haiti.
I mean, that is what I thought. I thought, because you remember when we first meet her, she's helping, refugees or people or whoever,
right.
And she is like, she's always been on the front line in the trenches. And so, I mean, they sold it well. I assumed that she had left 6 years ago because she's like, you know what? Not for me. Not going to be queen. Thank you so much. Love you, but see ya. You know what I mean? And that sold. So when it came up to this, I was like, oh, you got me.
Yeah, somewhere between the events of Black Panther and Infinity War, they got pregnant and decided for the safety and well-being of their child that she would raise him in Haiti. And of course, then the snap happened, and everyone was blipped away for 5 years, and they come back, and T'Challa has this mystery illness and dies. And it's like, why didn't you come back for the funeral? Well, I'm taking care of his son here in Haiti. Yeah. She couldn't say that, but that's what it was.
I was glad to know when they asked, did Angela Bassett's character know, and that she did.
Yeah,
that was good. But it was so cool, just that scene. And the thing that I saw was, I mean, what you could see and not hear through words, and it was so much more communicated in Shuri's expression, as she realizes that this is now, this is a connection to her brother. Mm-hmm. And you can just see already that they're going to have an amazing relationship. You just know it, but just by seeing her expression and their interaction.
Yeah.
I loved it.
It was really good. And I'm again, another way that I think they did a great job of honoring Chadwick Boseman and T'Challa's legacy. To be able to have another way to carry on, should they decide to go that route. You've got the son of T'Challa, and of course, I mean, you think about comic book logic, there are a billion different ways they could age him up if they need him to be the age that a grown man to become the next Black Panther in time for Black Panther 3 or the next Avengers movie. Well, they can find a way to do that, but they do that stuff in comics all the time.
Yeah, and even so, I mean, if you think about phases and plans and movies, just the amount of time going into all of these movies going on, I mean, you're talking 2025, 2026, 4 years down the road, this kid's going to sprout a little bit. You know what I mean? And so it's not that he's going to be adult size, but Robin size, you know what I mean? Enough to be able to,
I mean,
to have a
he
little
could
Black
very
Panther
easily
suit
be
on
one of
too,
the Young Avengers.
That's exactly right. So, but I thought it was great. And after the credits, it says Black Panther will return. Obviously, we will see her in some fashion, with all of this stuff with the Secret Wars or, all that. But yeah, what happens now? Will there be a 3? I mean, what do you think?
I'm sure there will be at some point. The most, it's almost surprising if they don't do a trilogy at least.
Yeah.
So there was no post-credits scene. There wasn't anything at the end. I waited around. I'm sure you did too.
I did.
But what's funny is, as I was like doing some more research for this, I went on the Wikipedia page, and under the synopsis, there was a paragraph under the mid-credit scene that said there was a post-credit scene. I was like, no, there wasn't. I didn't see it. So I was going to ask you, I was like, did you see a post-credit scene? So I copied and pasted what the Wikipedia article said, just in case it was wrong. It said the film's second post-credit scene opens on Dr. Graham, who was a character played by Lake Bell. Early on in the movie, she was the one who, I think is one who's discovered the underwater.
That lady.
Yeah, the underwater vibranium. So she's Dr. Graham, arriving on a helicopter at a lab in a mountainous location. An off-screen voice warns that Wakanda's coveting of vibranium will be their doom. A hand coated in vibranium enters frame, teasing the arrival of Dr. Doom.
I did not see that. Here's the thing. I walked into the movie. I walked in. They let us walk into the movie while the credits were finishing out of the showing.
Oh yeah.
So I watched the very end when it said Black Panther will return, and I watched all the way through the blank screen, all the way to the end. I saw extremely to the end.
Then you saw what everyone else did, because this doesn't exist.
It's not real.
I looked online. I found no evidence of a post-credit scene. Now, I don't know if there was originally supposed to be a post-credit scene that featured Dr. Doom, because there
wasn't.
See, there was a lot of speculation that there would be, because there is a lot of connection between Dr. Doom and Namor and even Wakanda. I think it would have been a mistake to bring in, again, this is another gigantic character in the Marvel universe, in the comics, who, when he gets introduced to the MCU, it needs to be a really good introduction.
It does, because remember, we're facing 2 Dr. Dooms that weren't the best, that were his predecessors from the previous films.
Yeah,
that's the 2 awful. Fantastic Four films. And so that's, even though the first Dr. Doom I thought was smooth and good enough for what that movie was, it's not the Dr. Doom that we need to be a part of this universe, this Marvel universe. So no, you're right. It's got to be something far more correctly, delicately handled, and it would have cheapened the film too, right? I mean, the whole thing, we walked away from this scene feeling something. To throw something out there would have been for executives.
Yeah, it really would have cheapened the the whole thing. I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, we're left with this certain emotion, certain feeling that we've got after being introduced to T'Challa's son, and then to have something else come back and be like, Dr. Doom. Why? That should not be the last thing we talk about as we're walking away from this. It should be that was really well done.
I'll bet you anything it's on the floor. I'll bet you anything it's on the cutting room floor.
It's very possible that it is, because Lake Bell is not she's not a huge name, but she's in stuff. She's been around, and so she's recognizable. So it wouldn't be surprising to see her again in some capacity as this Dr. Graham. And I did check the Wikipedia article again, and that blurb was gone. So I don't know how long it was up there, misleading people thinking there was a post-credit scene, but somebody got on there and deleted it within the time that I got on there, and then checked it again about 15 minutes later.
I wonder if, and so let's see about Lake Bell here. Just wonder if she's got anything else that she is listed as. She doesn't have anything for upcoming filmography. Of course, they wouldn't say probably, but
No,
you never know. Oh, I didn't know she was.
But
the
if
voice of
she's-
Harley
if-
Quinn, or no, Poison Ivy
Yeah.
in Harley Quinn show.
yeah. I would say if she shows up again, it will be in this kind of capacity. Especially if this was a real scene that was filmed and then just left off. That, it's possible she is working for Victor Von Doom in secret,
Yeah.
while pretending to work for the CIA.
Or are they just using her kind of an homage of the voice acting she's done? Because again, she's done, she was Natasha Romanoff in the What If series. She's also done Vanessa Fisk in the Into the Spider-Verse. So, you never know.
I wouldn't think that they would have included her as an Easter egg because of that. I think that,
I wonder.
like I said, I think that
it'd be nice
if
for her
she
to do
shows
that.
up again, it'll be as Dr. Graham. And like I said, if it's in this capacity, if she's working for Dr. Doom, that I would expect to see her whenever the Fantastic Four movie comes out.
So remind me real quick before we get off here, what's Dr. Doom's connection to Secret Wars?
In the latest version of Secret Wars, he set himself up as the god of Battle World.
So a planet.
Basically.
Is
Well,
Battle World the place where Hulk went to?
No, that's Sakaar.
Oh, okay.
No, Battle World, if I'm remembering this right, is where he took the characters from all over the Marvel multiverse and brought them together to decide which universe in the multiverse would survive.
Oh, okay. So they would fight from different universes against each other, and whichever one would, and he had the power to destroy the universes then?
I guess. I don't know. Obviously I didn't read it, but
And how is he connected to what's his face? The guy that's the big bad guy.
Namor?
No. The one that's from Loki. The one
Kang?
Kang, yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so there's a lot of holes, a lot of things to fill in here.
Yeah.
It's
And really we shouldn't even be giving Dr. Doom the time of day or even thinking about him, because he hasn't been introduced yet. Nobody's mentioned Latveria as being a place that exists in the MCU.
Yeah.
So at this point, he is not a player. He's not a player in what's to come. All we know about is Kang the Conqueror is coming. He's going to be the main villain in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
I'm really excited about that movie. I think that's what I'm most excited about.
And then based on what we know of the next two Avengers movies that'll be coming out in 2025 and 26, you've got the Kang Dynasty is the first one, and then Secret Wars is the last one. Now, is Kang going to be the villain for Kang Dynasty and then that's it? Or is he being set up for that Dr. Doom role that, Doom played in the comics, but because we have Kang pulling all the strings here at this point for the multiverse saga, is Kang going to be the one sitting on the throne of Battle World when that movie comes out? So that's the question. Because at this point, Dr. Doom, again, a non-player. He's not even an entity that we should know exists in the MCU.
One of the things that I wonder about for them trying to pull off, you got all these characters, and you of course have your classic characters from Avengers, but like, I don't necessarily feel any deep investment to any of them, the remaining ones at this point. Yeah, Thor, Love and Thunder, I feel like I've gotten my Thor. I feel like, man, I like Paul Rudd, but I don't know how this is going to turn out for Ant-Man. You know what I mean?
I
But
got a bad feeling about this.
I know, right? I know. But do you know what I'm saying? Like at this point, a lot of these characters, I'm kind of like, I don't know. I don't have anybody to really latch on to. Um, like I remember when the first movies come out, there were a few that would be like, oh, I'm all Captain America, or oh, I'm all Thor, or I'm all. Just at this point, it's kind of like a little disjointed. So I'm really hoping that as we're progressing here, we're going to start to get something formed up here a little bit stronger, to kind of bring it home, so we can have some, characters to latch on to firmly,
Hmm.
Do you have any that you're like really, tied to, or you're invested in at this point? Individually, I mean.
Not really. I mean, I at this point with the MCU, I would say that maybe Spider-Man.
Sure.
Because I really I love the way that Tom Holland has played Spider-Man
Yeah,
in the the chances we've seen with him. And I really look forward to what they're going to do with Spider-Man moving forward, now that he is more like the comic book accurate Peter Parker,
right.
who
Yeah.
doesn't have Iron Man to lean on
Yeah. No
for
money.
technology
Yeah.
or a new
Yeah.
suit or glasses that give him kill drones on site. That kind of thing. I get why so many people complained that that was the version of Peter Parker we were getting. We weren't getting this kid who was a super genius, who created all this stuff on his own and had to scrape by with nothing. But now that's what we're going to get.
And
Now
now
that's
we
what
are.
we're going to get as a young adult.
Yeah.
Putting himself through college, probably working for Jonah Jameson, taking pictures of Spider-Man, doing all that stuff that he does. So I'm looking forward to that. But overall, like, again, the MCU has now reached the point where it is not just for one demographic of people. It is not just for the comic geeks out there who were looking for their favorite characters to be turned into comic book movies. This is now a larger machine that is able to create different genres of entertainment.
Yeah.
That She-Hulk was a sitcom that may not have been for everybody. Right. I enjoyed it for what it was,
right.
But I get why people wouldn't. And
but
then
that's true. There might be things now for the first time. Before you could like sit and say, I'm gonna watch all these in chronological order, and I'm gonna get all set up. I think we're at the point now where there might be a few of these that the average person goes, just doesn't.
If you miss it, you miss it, and it's not a big deal. Like it's right. People aren't gonna, like, when you get to the big tentpole movies that, like, the Avengers, when you get to the next Avengers, I'm sure people will be able to go in and see the Kang Dynasty without necessarily having to see the 10 movies that came before it. You're going in there. I haven't seen a Marvel movie since Endgame, and now I'm going to see Kang Dynasty, and I don't know what's going on, but it's going to be, they're going to find a way to create the movie and write it in such a way that everybody can come see it.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what level of fandom you're on there, because they're going to want people to come. They want to sell tickets. That's all there is to it.
No, you're right. Well, and I think like there's a few of these that, I mean, like you think about like Hawkeye, or you think about Loki, or any of these, you really don't have to watch them. No. I mean, if you like the characters and you're enthusiast with that, great. I'd say the only one that I'm really invested in, like you were saying about Spider-Man, would probably be, I could watch Guardians of the Galaxy anytime. So that's like one of those, but that's not necessarily plot specific, other than the fact that I really do want to see the connection and reconciliation with Gamora. I want to see that work out. But other than that, that's pretty much it. I mean, so
Yeah. At this point, like I said, I'm in it just to enjoy the story for what it is. I'm not fully attached to necessarily any one character. If somebody uh if somebody makes the ultimate sacrifice to save the universe, okay, maybe I'll cry, maybe I won't. I don't know. I don't. We'll see how emotionally invested I get when the time comes. But as it is, I'm like I just want to enjoy these movies for what they are. And so far, I'm still entertained. If the time comes that I go see one of these movies and I'm just like, this is the worst piece of trash I've ever paid 53 cents to go see, then maybe I won't go see the next one. But
Yeah.
in the meantime, so I mean, same way with Star Wars. I'm enjoying what I'm seeing. Bring it on. Let's have another one. So
Yeah.
so I'm looking forward to Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. I think that's the next one coming out, right?
Yep.
And then before that, we got the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special coming out.
And then we also have coming up that Invasion, Secret Invasion.
Yeah, Secret Invasion will be early next year, I think.
So, all right. So I think we've done our good justice on this movie and the MCU. But we are switching gears next week, aren't we, sir?
Wait, I haven't gotten through trivia yet.
You got trivia?
Of course I do.
Yes.
Who do you think I am?
Well,
all right, 5 questions.
Let's hear it.
Number 1, what is the name of the armor bestowed to Okoye by Shuri in preparation for the final battle? This one's a hard one. I couldn't remember what it was. I had to look it up. I know she called it something.
The Blue Beetle. That's all I could think when I saw the outfit.
It was blue.
Blue Beetle.
Midnight Angel.
Midnight Angel. There you go.
It's a mouthful. Who is the voice of Griot, the AI developed by Shuri? Think along the same lines as Paul Bettany playing Jarvis for Tony Stark.
Is it an actor I would know?
I would not call him an actor, but he is a public figure, and he is on TV very regularly. I would say daily. He is on TV daily. Like he has a daily show.
Oh, it's Noah. It's this
Trevor Noah.
Guy? Trevor Noah. Thank you for all the hints.
Like
there.
the clues there.
You walk me right up to it. I give you a Noah.
He's on TV daily.
Daily.
In fact, he has a daily show.
Yeah, not anymore.
Did he quit?
There's something about him stepping out though from what he's.
That's right. He's been doing it for a while now. He's good at it. He shouldn't quit. All right. Namor's people refer to him as. All right. Let me see if I can say this. Kukulkan. Kukulkan, which means what?
I just remember that the one means no love or something like that. Is that what Namor means?
That's
no
Namor,
love?
Yeah.
Oh, what was that one mean? Wind beneath my wings. Sorry.
Close. Feathered serpent god.
Feathered serpent god. Oh, that's good. That's good.
All right, this one's a tough one. I think they're all tough.
This one's
now.
a tough one.
Namor the Submariner is one of Marvel's oldest characters, having first seen publication in October of 1939. In what comic book was Namor's first appearance?
Marvel Comics. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, that's correct. Marvel Comics, but what issue?
5.
Number 1.
Oh man, that was so
Marvel
close.
Comics number 1. But no, this is before the company was even known as Marvel. Their magazines at that point were being published by Timely Comics.
Oh, really? That's good.
So back in the golden age, you had Namor, the Human Torch, and Captain America were the 3 big characters. And the Human Torch was not the same as who we got with the Fantastic Four later on. It was
That's funny because I was going to say 2 of those characters were played by Chris Evans.
That's correct. All All right. Val is secretly putting together a team that will be made of U.S. agent Yelena Belova, among others. What will that team be called? They've recently announced a movie.
So they actually, there's a name. So, and it's so funny, the DC, Marvel parallels here, like the Dark Justice League. Man, the Dark Avengers.
I'm sorry. Thunderbolts.
The Avengers.
The Devengers. The Revengers.
The Thunderbolts?
The Thunderbolts.
Stupid name.
They're named after Thunderbolt Ross, General Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, who will now, going forward, be played by Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford.
Yeah, after the untimely death of
William Hurt.
Yeah.
Wow.
Harrison Ford has now been recast as Thunderbolt Ross.
Because doesn't he become a mutant?
No, he becomes Red Hulk.
Like a Hulk. Yeah, that's what I meant.
I don't know if they're gonna go that way with it. Because he becomes Red Hulk. Betty Ross becomes Red She-Hulk.
Doesn't she make a flag?
That's Betsy Ross.
Oh, my bad. Sorry.
Elizabeth Betty Ross, formerly played by Liv Tyler and formerly played by Jennifer Connelly in the original Hulk movie. She becomes Red Hulk, Red She-Hulk. Yes, I don't know.
Red She-Hulk. She crab soup.
There's a lot of red things.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's a lot. That's kind of fun. I do think Thunderbolts is a silly name for a team.
Yeah, well, it is what it is.
Am I boring you?
No, it's as we're recording this, we're approaching 10 o'clock. So let's look ahead. What's happening? I'm looking at notes from last week. Jeez. What are we doing next week?
Are we doing SNES?
Nope. Next week, we're talking Batman.
Oh, that's so appropriate.
I know, right?
That's good.
Next week we'll get
Batman
into
Nightfall.
Yep, the classic Batman story where, spoiler alert, Bane broke Batman's back.
All right, so most people know about Bane breaking Batman's back. If you're just novice person, just knowing Batman a little bit, you know it from like Christian Bale, Tom Hardy breaking his back or slipping a disc or whatever the case is that happened.
He really got over that real quick.
Yeah. But this in the comics was huge, and it was going on with this time period. We'll talk about it more next week, of course, but just to kind of set some context, this is like the death of Superman kind of thing.
Yeah, this was happening huge. Concurrently with while Reign of the Superman was going on, Nightfall was happening.
Yeah.
And so yeah, you've got a lot going on. This is in the 90s. We've got we're trying to tell some big stories to win over some folks, because at the same time you've got Marvel's X-Men breaking records for sales over and over and over again. And then you've got Image Comics coming up the ranks with Gen 13 and Wildstorm and all that stuff. So DC was struggling.
And Spawn was going on at the same time, right?
Yeah, they were part of Image. You had Spawn, Savage Dragon.
I mean, there was so much going on, and DC was struggling. And so they really threw out all the stops for this.
Yeah, so it's like we've got to do something to get some sales back. So they kill off Superman, break Batman's back, and replace him with some psychopath. But we'll get into all that next week. Landon, anything else you want to say about Wakanda Forever? Other than Wakanda Forever?
Wakanda Forever.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for listening. If you've enjoyed this, please share it with the folks you know, friends, family, loved ones. If you like it, they might like it too. Follow us on the social media. Send us an email. Join the conversation. What did you think of Wakanda Forever? If you've seen it so far, we would love to hear what you have to say and share your thoughts right here on the show. So let us know what you're thinking. In the meantime, have a great whatever it is, wherever you are.
Bye-bye.